In 1985, a song with a jungle chant, synthetic rhythms, and a hypnotic melody exploded onto the international pop scene. Tarzan Boy, the debut single by the Italian act Baltimora, became a global sensation, dominating radio waves, dance floors, and MTV screens across continents. Its infectious "Oh chorus became instantly recognizable, and the track skyrocketed up the charts in countries like the United Kingdom, the United States, Canada, and Germany. But behind the novelty of its sound and the cartoon-like presence of the man fronting the project was a far more complex and unexpected reality. At the center of Baltimora was a man named Jimmy McShane. Born in Northern Ireland, McShane had struggled to find footing in the music business before moving to Italy in the early 1980s. It was there that he connected with Maurizio Bassi, an Italian music producer and composer. Together, they formed the act known as Baltimora. McShane became the public face of the group, appearing in music videos, promotional material, and live performances. However, the real creative force behind Tarzan Boy was Bassi. The voice heard on the recording of Tarzan Boy is widely believed to have been primarily Bassi's, not McShane's. Despite McShane performing the song on stage and lip-syncing in the video, multiple sources, including those within the Italian music scene, have stated that Bassi handled the majority of the vocal duties. The arrangement, production, and songwriting were also Bassi's work. Baltimora, then, was more of a project than a traditional band, a studio creation built for visual appeal and commercial success. This revelation raised questions about authenticity and artistic ownership. The dynamic echoed other acts of the 1980s where image and sound were carefully crafted in studios, sometimes with frontmen or frontwomen who did not contribute significantly to the recording process. Baltimora fit that mold. McShane, trained in theater and dance, brought charisma and presence, but the true sonic architecture of Tarzan Boy was created without him behind the mic. Despite these layers of production mystery, the song became an iconic representation of mid-80s pop. It was featured in films, commercials, and later in nostalgic media. It resurfaced again in the 1990s through a Mentos commercial and found renewed popularity. Yet, Baltimora as a project could not replicate the success of its debut hit. Subsequent singles like Woody Boogie and Living in the Background failed to chart with similar success. By 1987, the project had dissolved, with no formal announcement. McShane quietly left the music industry and returned to private life. Tragically, Jimmy McShane died in 1995 at the age of 37 from complications related to AIDS. His death received little media attention, and Baltimora remained, in the eyes of most, a one-hit wonder. Yet the legacy of Tarzan Boy persisted, still often heard decades later and recognized by new generations who have no knowledge of its complex origin. The real story behind Tarzan Boy is not one of a traditional artist rising through creative evolution. It is a constructed pop phenomenon, built in the studio, fronted by an actor and performer rather than a singer-songwriter, and driven by the vision of a producer who stayed mostly behind the scenes. The success of the song was undeniable, but the fame it brought was superficial and short-lived. Baltimora wasn't a band in the conventional sense. It was a concept, a moment engineered for maximum impact, and when its time passed, it vanished completely. Understanding Tarzan Boy today means looking beyond the catchy tune and vibrant visuals. It means recognizing how music in the 1980s was often a blend of image, technology, and studio precision. It means questioning the roles of those we see and hear in pop culture. And it means acknowledging that sometimes the most famous voice isn't the one singing. It's the one producing, orchestrating, and ultimately deciding what the world hears.